Hi, everyone. This is Tara Gretton and Vicky Essebag, and we're here today with Power Burst number 24. And the question that we are going to attempt to answer for you in a short period of time is, how do we prioritize communication in relationships, and why is this important? So, Tara, what I was thinking about in this question is, well, if we ask individuals whether they prioritize communication in relationships, they will most certainly say yes, right? Because we all know that productive communication in relationships essentially promotes well-being, right? It promotes efficacy. So we know that, yes, we would like to have good communication in our relationships. And yet, when we ask the question, what are you doing to prioritize communication in relationships? That will stump people a lot of the time. They'll just sit there wondering, what am I doing? What can I be doing? And I believe the reason for this is that truly we do put that type of thing on the back burner, right? We tend to the other stressors in our lives, the other busy pieces in our lives, our work and our schedules and all the other stuff. And communication, we just expect that somehow will sort of just fall into place. And I think what happens sometimes too is, it's that word should, right? Well, we should be communicating well. People should be communicating well with me, right? There should be a nice balanced relationship in the family. There should be a nice balanced relationship at the workplace where everybody respects each other, right? And is responsible for how they connect with each other. So the word should, it's an important word because we may have that expectation, but if we're not consciously working in how we communicate, all of those expectations may actually, may actually not come to pass.
Yeah.
So that's where I want to start with the thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just really, it kind of really resonates with me what you're saying, and I can think about that in my own interactions with the people in my life, and I think we can kind of assume or think that we're doing it as well, that we're prioritizing communication, and we think that we're doing it well, but I think, what's really key from what you're saying is, so how do we, being able to answer that question, so how do we prioritize communication? And we were sort of talking about setting your intentions, so that real intentionality. But as you were talking, it really reminded me of when I used to do a more family work, when I was working as a solution-focused practitioner, but in a social care team. And we would open up the session, asking people what their best hopes were, from the conversations, from the work together with them as a family. And as this would be parents and carers and young people. And as each person sort of had their turn of speaking, people were like, wow, I had no idea.
Right.
That's what you wanted. I had no idea. And that's because we do not know what other people are thinking.
That's right.
And until we have those types of conversations, what are our hopes? What are our hopes together? If this was to be a really great week, what will we be celebrating at the end of this week? What are our hopes? What to just get us through today? What are our hopes as a family moving forward? What are our hopes as a team in an organization?
Yeah.
Until we ask those intentional kind of questions, then we just don't know what other people are thinking. It used to be things like, I want to play more board games. I
Yeah.
want to be able to have dinner around the table more often. And this would be families that were at the point of breakdown.
Yeah.
That this was a service of like, let's work with this family so they are able to stay together.
Yeah.
But we do not know what other people are thinking.
Absolutely. And I'm listening to you talk, and you said something really important, Tara, and that is the idea of hearing the other person, right? That it's not just that we don't listen sometimes, it's that we're not fully hearing what each other is saying because we're busy, we're occupied, we're preoccupied. But when we hear what the other person says, it opens up a whole new paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
We realize, like you said, we realize things about them that we didn't know, we didn't understand. And now that we understand, we can improve our communication with that person. And we can be more sensitive, more sensitized to what it is that they're asking for, what it is that they need. And that is a hopeful interaction.
Yeah.
As soon as we can become more sensitized, more, as soon as we can empathize more, really, with the people with whom we come in contact, they are more hopeful.
Yeah.
And when they are more hopeful, we are more hopeful.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's contagious, isn't it?
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
And,
Yeah.
I think we can really start with ourselves, can't we? In sort of practicing around sort of thinking about this intentional approach to communication. We were talking about just thinking about what are my best hopes for today? How do I hope to interact with those around me? How do I want to show up? Who's gonna who's gonna come down the stairs and so and I think when you set those intentions around how you might want to interact with yourself or those around you or those at work or those anybody that you might meet on the street who you walk past every day, then that enables you to be more present in that moment. Because as you were saying, we're so often sort of attending to so many other things. We always think about that sort of juggling, don't we? And when I even caught myself last night where I was multitasking. I had my phone in my hand. There was conversations happening in the kitchen, and I just caught myself, with my phone as they were talking. The children were talking to me, my husband, and I was like horrified. Put the phone down, because I couldn't. There's no way that I could be present in that conversation whilst looking at an email, and. Yeah. So that reminded me actually that I really needed to reset that intention for myself, that actually I really need to intentionally not have my phone in my hand. And then
go ahead and then
I was just going to say that that I know that it's they are telling me what they think when they notice me with my phone in my hand. But setting my intention about that and knowing the difference, being able to visualize and to, based on previous experience, that knowing the difference that will make to me being present in that moment with my family.
Absolutely. And, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because, we're all human. And sometimes we're just inadvertently doing things that may not be conducive to productive communication. But the fact that you're able to self-correct in the moment, right? The fact that you're able to say, oh, wait a second, I'm on my phone. What's going on here? The kids are talking to me. That's amazing.
Yeah.
because you're able to say, oh, yes, and put your phone down in the moment. And I think it's important for our listeners to know that, for our
Yes.
listeners to recognize that, even if things are not going as planned, even if things are not going great, we can self-correct in
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
okay. It's okay.
I love that. Yeah.
It's not going to, you know, be produce less of a positive result.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we can go back to those intentions, it's time like,
Yes.
right, need to revisit that intention and to say sorry, to
Yeah,
acknowledge that. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. I wasn't really present in that moment because I was trying to do too many things at once and I can't do
that's
that.
right.
And yeah, it was a bit
Yeah.
rude. So sorry, kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
to verbalize what it is that we're experiencing. And
Mm.
when we do that with people, they realize that it's okay for them to verbalize what it is that
Mm.
they do, that they experience in the moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yes,
Mm.
thank you for that.
Thank you. Oh, well, we hope that our listeners found that a useful conversation. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye. Have a good day.